think I'm still muted. Here we go. Yep, I was still muted. Hey, what do you say? Welcome into a very special edition of the Run In Podcast. My name's Tommy Paradise.
It's showtime, folks. It's your boy DJ.
And we are joined by the one, the only, the guy is making the rounds this week, Mr. Steve Ozer from Mattel. What's up, man?
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Busy week for you this week, huh?
Oh, it is. It is. We're doing podcasts and YouTube appearances and then all the normal daily day-to-day stuff. We're actually doing our internal toy fair right now.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I just met with John from Ringside. It's a busy day and week and month and year, decade, everything.
Well, we really appreciate you taking the time to come on here with us. I gotta say, man, I see you wearing that WrestleMania hoodie. I'm a little jealous of that hoodie. I slept on it. I was like, oh, I'll just get it Monday at the Superstore.
Same.
I'll get it Monday at the
Same thing
Superstore.
happened to me.
There was nothing left at the Superstore on Monday. My thought was, they'll take everything from SoFi and move it over to the Superstore. No, that didn't happen. So SOL with that hoodie. I was so bummed.
You can't sleep on anything, unfortunately, at the Superstore. Last year, the Cody shirts were just like impossible to get, and I think I got the good word that they were restocking the next morning.
Yep.
And I didn't get there immediately, and they were just like gone, just like that. So
it's crazy.
People are at the Superstore at WrestleMania to spend. That's for sure.
Yeah. I went on eBay just for the heck of it. Our friends over at the Fig Cave were talking about some of the WrestleMania merch that they missed and how much it was going for on eBay. And that same hoodie was going for like $225 with bids. I was like, God dang, man. I'm like, I didn't want it that bad.
Maybe I'm willing to part with it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Recover some of the money you spent at WrestleMania, right?
Right.
Well, man, it was great to actually meet you in person over at WrestleMania as well. So we want to say thanks for the invite there.
Oh yeah.
And hopefully we can do it all again in Philly next year. And I will grab a hoodie day one,
right,
while I'm in Philly.
Right.
Well, you need the WrestleMania 40 hoodie,
right? Absolutely.
And everything else.
Even though it's going to have Philly all over it. I'm from the Northeast.
Here we go.
So everybody keeps saying the bad thing about going to WrestleMania next year with it being in Philly is that it's in Philly. So
I mean, I'm from Philly and I say that too. So it's okay.
Yeah. Okay. You're originally from Philly, right?
Yeah. I love Philly at the same time, obviously, but hey, Philly is Philly, good and bad. It's going to be awesome though. Mania is going to be awesome. And that crowd, that's going to take Mania to another level, right? That Philly crowd for WrestleMania 40. So it's super cool for the 40th WrestleMania to be in my hometown. At first, I'll be honest, I was a little bummed because I'm very familiar with Philly and that whole area, and I go back all the time. So these WrestleMania trips, you want it to be somewhere new and different that maybe you haven't been to before. So at first I was like, oh man, Philly, and then it's sunk in that it's WrestleMania 40 in my hometown, and not lots of nostalgia came flooding back to me of going to the Spectrum with my dad and WrestleMania 15. It's going to be pretty sweet.
I think too, with not to get too far ahead of ourselves here, I think what's going to be cool about it next year, not that Philly or LA was bad this year, but everything was so spread out this year. Philly, everything's right there with this. I know it's not the Centrum anymore at Wells Fargo Center or whatever it is, the Link, and then Citizens Bank Ballpark all being right there. So hopefully, the Superstore will be right there and everything like that. So I was actually surprised that WWE didn't use the Forum next to SoFi for the Superstore, but I get it. Raw was over there, so
yeah. I mean, Staples Center, it'll always be the Staples Center to me. I mean, that's their home in this area. That's their home in this area, so I get it. I mean, even in Philly, if they move some activities to the convention center, it's still not that far away.
Yep.
And traffic is a breeze compared to LA traffic.
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So we won't keep you too long here. We've got a bunch of people logged on, ready to go here to ask you some questions. But of course, we got some stuff to talk about. But I wanted to pull a Cody Rhodes on you here. And I want to say, so what do you want to talk about?
Yeah.
Well, what I want to do right now is post the link in my stories and say we're live. So I'm a little distracted right now.
That's okay.
But
No worries.
I mean, of course, we want to touch upon the crowdfund, right? That's what we're all here for. And that's why I have no personal life at the moment. So it's all good. So we want to touch upon the crowdfund, the latest and greatest there. And I want to answer questions, right? Yep. So, we did a Turnbuckle Tavern Fig Night last night. And, I just, at the end, I tried to press to answer as many questions as possible before we signed off. So I want to do the same thing here, like answer questions, be transparent, answer as much as I can possibly answer. And if there's things I can't answer or don't know the answer to, I'll just tell you, So,
right.
I mean, have at it.
All right. I'll start here with just saying that I admit you have done a great job, I think, of, I'll say, keeping your cool, because there has been, I think I've seen more negativity towards this one for some reason than the new gen ring. And I don't want to be negative or anything like that, but it seems like there are more people that are turned off by this one. They think they could do this better. One of my go-to comments when I see somebody, saying, "Oh, they should have done this. They should have put, so-and-so in with the figures instead." It's like, well, they should hire you then. And see how you can do. You guys obviously have the resources behind you to, come up with a plan and what you want to do. But to your credit, man, you've done a great job of kind of just being like, look, this is from what I've seen, this is what we've got. This is why we got to where we are. Like, and it's just so, I think especially in the wrestling world, unfortunately, it's very easy to get caught up in the negative. And you've just done such a good job of staying away from that.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it. And look, part of the reason I was hired and was, appealing to Mattel, aside from the business stuff, was that, I'm connected to this audience, our collector, group. Like, I'm a collector. I was a WWE collector before I even started this, and collector of many other lines, and I'm still beyond incredibly involved. That's an understatement. Like, I'm drowning in toys, that I buy across multiple lines and companies. So, I hear all those things, and when you have an item that has multiple figures in it, it's basically a lineup. And everybody likes to fantasy book the lineups and saying it should have been X, it should have been Y, it should have been Z. Believe me, all these suggestions that I'm seeing, they were talked about, right? For whatever reason, and there's so many, for whatever reason, they didn't work out, right? And this is what you land on. There's a variety of factors that make that happen at the end of the day. And I think it's already slowly been coming out through conversations and interviews that, the idea for like Hulk Hogan originally was Pastamania Hulk Hogan, right? Like, what can be done that is like a cool twist on things of a popular character, right? A popular talent, to kind of push it into that, that Macho Man era that we did with the new gen, or even the Slim Jim, Macho Man, kind of the area of items. So, it didn't pan out, right? Schedules, contracts, approvals, everything. Sometimes you have to move forward with what you got. And those are the breaks, right? Those are the breaks sometimes, and all the other talent, yes, discuss, but like I said, it's not a one-man or two-man show for deciding these things. And you have to come to a team consensus, and this is where it pans out. And to me, like, removing myself from the equation of being someone who worked on the item, right? If I'm this consumer, and I am, right? Like, this is an item totally for me. Like, it's the stage, right? This is the chance to get the stage. And the figures truly are like bonus or freebies on top of the stage. That stage alone really legitimately should be a lot more money to make like a normal, margin of what a toy company would make on an item. But it's like, we're throwing those figures in as added value.
Sure.
And you get more the more we unlock from a backer count perspective. So it's like, I do wish I could twist the line of thinking to make it more about the stage, and then the figures are just like icing on the cake. But I mean, it is a figure driven business, of course, and a figure driven collector community. So I get it. It is what it is, but we got to make the most out of it.
One thing I think, and I think you touched on this last night a little bit, was seeing this thing in person, being able to see it at WrestleMania, at the Superstore, and things like that. I really feel like the pictures do not do it justice.
No.
I was skeptical in the beginning. Not that I wasn't going to back it, just it's $400. Looking at the pictures online, and I'm just kind of like, all right, I'll see how this goes. And then once I saw it, I was like, all right, I'm gonna back this. Part of the reason I want to back it too is so that we get something else down, so that this kind of thing keeps coming. But definitely seeing it in person and hearing Mike talk about it at the influencers panel about how much little detail went into the pieces, about him watching Nitro, different Nitros from different areas, and the cords being in a certain
cords and
things like that. Like that really stood out to me, and I really appreciate the details that went into that. I heard you talking with Sam Roberts yesterday, where he says that he's paying attention to all that stuff when he's at an event, and I'm the same way. Like part of the fun for me at WrestleMania was seeing what was happening when the show wasn't live. Seeing how they're doing the sleight of hand stuff for the surprises and things like that. So I love that kind of stuff, and just seeing the detail that's on the stage is I was joking with somebody earlier. I'm like, they should have had one of you guys or somebody from Mattel next to the display with an iPad taking people's credit cards right there. Like, this is beautiful, isn't it? Swipe, swipe, swipe. It really does. In person, it's a work of art.
Yeah, I mean, Mike killed it from a design perspective, of course.
Of course.
The detail, he went the extra mile, right? Mike is a very casual fan of wrestling, but the passion for pop culture allows him to immerse himself into these things, and he really exceeded expectations. And I was saying yesterday to Sam, like I don't think I would have noticed a lot of the things that he noticed. And I am an in the weeds fan, and I am someone who notices that's the wrong color for somebody on gear or something, or my eternal debate with Robert Rudman that Greg Valentine's shin guard is not called the Hammer Jammer. That was Ronnie Garvin's, right? So It's like those things I all remember. But yeah, Mike with the details of the stage and the lighting and the wiring like that, it's like, holy smokes, like I could never have even attempted in a million years to do comparisons and get as close to a one-on-one comparison as he's gotten here. So Mike's awesome.
Another thing that drew me to it was, I don't know if it was Mike explaining this or one of the other guys on the panel, but the fact that it is designed to fit on a bookshelf. I don't think a lot of people realize that.
That's amazing.
It's designed with collector's space in mind. We don't all have room for the rings or a huge display piece with all these figures to go with it. So I think that is a huge piece that I don't think a lot of people realize. You were showing kind of last night where you could move stuff around. You can make the ramp longer. You can make the stage a little bit smaller, whatever you need to do. But you still have those main pieces, the WCW, the lights, and everything like that.
Yeah, if you remove these upper shelves from my bookcases and pretend the ceiling is higher, that it'll fit up there, right? And it'll look awesome, like on the top shelf, and depending on the depth of your shelves and everything. But it's pretty perfect when you do the slim setup for it to fit on shelves. But I mean, really, like this is my work table here. Like it would fit on my work table here, in my office at home, beautifully at the end of it. So I know a lot of people have different setups and stuff, and you can make it work for you, or make it work for whatever it is you want to display on it. Like if it's I mentioned Ninja Turtles, right, on tour, like they'd be great on it. Anything like it's really modular and kind of like
get some Kiss action figures and put on there.
Exactly, future proofing it for you.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of the comments we've seen have had to do with international shipping. Are you guys doing anything for that? Obviously, this thing probably weighs 15 pounds, maybe. Just guessing. I know the U.S. shipping isn't that bad, but I've seen a lot of people saying they think this would have, again, everybody's got 20/20 vision on this thing, but thinking that if it was easier for the international customers to get their hands on it, cost wise, that the numbers might be a little bit higher than what they are right now.
Yeah, I think my team, my Mattel Creations team, they do a great job at doing their homework as far as being able to pinpoint like an exact number that we're probably missing out on based on past sales, right? So we kind of know what that number is.
Yep.
And you want every backer possible, of course, right? And believe me, every comment that I see that isn't, expletive laden, I'm passing that. I'm screen capping it and passing it on. And my main counterpart there is aware. It's just it's hard because it's a larger thing. It's not just the WWE show, right? Like it's Mattel Creations is a thing, and it's much bigger than just WWE in this item. So there are larger implications to everything, right? So it's not just this item that you're seeing this particular method of taxes, imports, duties, etc., being charged ahead of time, plus additional shipping, of course, for these international consumers. It's everything, right? So we're passing that along. I don't know that they can do anything about it. They're aware of it. They are exploring everything. It just seems like, it just doesn't seem reasonable with the time left that they can pivot on something like that. I mean, maybe they can, right? Rabbit out of the hat, last minute thing. I don't know. We'll see, right? But they're trying. There's no lack of effort in trying to see what they can do to improve that. But, as I mentioned yesterday, for anyone who was watching or listening, it seems like even when the toughest critics are doing the math, the discrepancy comes down to, in their minds, about $30 to $40 discrepancy of what they think it should be versus what it is. So you're not getting charged hundreds of dollars extra for something. Like it's everything counts, right? Every dollar counts to everybody, right? But in the whole big scheme of things, it's minimal. It's not $200 extra. It's a fair conversion. It's fair shipping, and like they're scratching their heads at like $30 to $40, right? And I'm not seeing these exact calculations. I don't know how exactly they're doing it compared to internally on Mattel Creations, but I am slightly relieved that it is nominal, right? At the end of the day, it's not a lot. So anyway, long story short, the team is still looking into it. It's the best I can do for an answer, unfortunately, right? Being a few steps removed from that process. But I'll keep passing along everything and pushing and having conversations with them and seeing what else can be done until this campaign is through.
Sure.
Absolutely.
And you guys are so good at listening to the consumer as far as making a pivot. We're like adding Scott Steiner to the first 5,000 backers. Everybody who orders it, as long as it gets backed, is going to get Scott Steiner. That was a pivot, and we'll put Hogan in the back on the back end of things. Is there anything though that you would have changed maybe about this campaign? Looking back at it, again, we're still 2 weeks away from the final numbers and everything like that. I don't want to project in a negative light, but is there something different that you might have done with this? I mean, with this campaign, like hindsight's always 20/20, but
I think everybody, if they were on their own, right? If you separate, even on the team, would have done X, Y, and Z different, right? Because everyone has different opinions. I would have had a different lineup of figures, right? Or reshuffling of figures, right? And that's just my taste and my me reading, what you guys say and want leading into things like this, right? But I can't change that. And you know what? At the end of the day, like the lineup is heavy hitters, right? It is appealing talent. Would I love to have included Glacier and Mortis, as like the Doink the Clown level of talent for those unlocks? Sure, that'd be a blast. But I mean, we all know there's numerous reasons why that just isn't possible, right? So would I change some things and if it was my personal project? Sure, of course. But, there's reality, and there's lots of stakeholders and lots of people collaborating. And you do what you need to do to make an item happen. And if you only knew, right? If you only knew what a miracle it is that we're at this point where we could have the Nitro stage at $400, like, holy smokes, right? If there was a documentary crew following me around and you could watch it right now, be like, oh man, like this is like, it really is like a once in a lifetime opportunity to get this. And things are just in the world going to get more expensive, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So it's like, it could be this pocket of time we're in right now could be our last shots at having like things like this.
That's a great point.
Price.
Actually, to think about that. kind of a crazy thing I hadn't thought about. Before. DJ, do you have any questions about the Nitro stage here?
Well, where we are now, what's the best scenario we can get here? Like, what's the best that can happen?
5,000 backers, baby.
Oh, the best is 11,000 plus backers, right?
Oh, that's true. 11,000, right.
The second worst is which is still great, is 5,000 backers, right? And then we get Scott Steiner and Rey Mysterio.
Okay.
Look, when you look at what happened with the new gen arena, like that Randy Savage early bird, I mean, really, when that ended, the campaign was over, right? You got a couple hundred units sold after that, but in reality, everyone rallied in what became the last day of that campaign, which was the early bird ending. So,
right,
like, to me, like, when this campaign is wrapping up, it seems like we're getting a trickle of new backers, every day now. Once again, it kind of stalled for a little, and now it's on the uptick. Yep. So it's like, the spidey sense is tingling, like people know it's coming to a close soon, and they're starting to jump in now as we're approaching the end of it. And it is, I know psychologically it is tough, even though you don't get your full actual charge until, the item is fully backed. Like, psychologically, it's hard to part with that money until the last minute. So I know a lot of people are waiting too. So I'm really hoping we have that same like rallying of the community on the last couple days of the campaign, and everyone's fighting to unlock as much as possible.
Yep.
Right. So to me, like that's my hope, that we redo that same experience that we had with the new gen arena. We do it once again here, and we get this awesome item and have a nice clear path for whatever could be next as an execution like this.
100%. I'm hoping for that. I remember exactly where I was the last day of the Macho Man promotion, and I'm just like refreshing. I'm at an event with my kid, and I'm just not ignoring him, but I'm on my phone just like refreshing. I'm like, oh my God, we got it. We got the ring. We got the skirts. We're getting this. We're getting that. And it actually was a really fun, part of not collecting hit. Yeah, forget it. We'll say it. It was a fun part of collecting history. Just being there, and, like, on your phone. Sure. I feel like there was a internet, an internet community that looked like a bar in England or something when their soccer team won the Premier Cup or Premier League or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, it just seemed like everybody threw their hands up all at once. They're like, we got it. So I'm hoping this happens with this, man. I'm optimistic. I want it to happen so bad. We got 2 more pay weeks or 2 more pay days, 2 weeks, 2 Fridays. So, and there are payment plans now. You can use Affirm and pay in 4 and all that stuff right on there. I know every time I go to
Shop Pay, right?
Shop Pay. Yep. I know I have the Klarna plug-in on my laptop, and every time I go to Mattel Creations to see how many backers there are, it pops up and says you're pre-approved for this amount on this.
Yeah, that's what my Affirm does. Yeah.
So we will get to your guys' questions here in just a little bit. Me and DJ have just a couple more as far as the Nitro ring goes, or the crowdfunding. Is WWE the first ones to do the crowdfunding with Mattel? I know Hasbro's done it before with the Star Wars line and some G.I. Joe stuff and things like that, and not all of those have been home runs either. But is Mattel or WWE the first one for Mattel?
Well, remember that question. Let's circle back to it in a second.
Okay.
Like, not all of them have been home runs, right?
Right.
Some of the negativity is around like, oh, how embarrassing, it's not doing well right now. I mean, it's kind of on pace with the last one, right? In reality, right?
I was going to bring that up.
That was my next question.
But it's a crowdfund. It's a way to experiment with items, with crazy items that we think, and I think at least 2,200 people right now think that this is like something that they want, right? So, and if it fails, I don't want it to fail, but it's okay, right? Yeah. Because that's the point of the crowdfund. Do you guys want this, right? And then at the end of the day, if it's no, okay, then you don't want this. You don't want possibly items like this, items this expensive. There's a lot to learn from that. So yes, you want everything to succeed, but you have to take chances, right? Like,
absolutely.
You're never going to hit those home runs unless you take swings at things. So, and the toy industry is built on mistakes and failures and trying things, right? Because for every, tickle me Elmo, there's those other items that go straight, to clearance after 6 months, and nothing sold to the people whatsoever, right? So it's okay. It's okay if it fails. I don't want it to fail. It's not going to fail. But crowdfunds failing is not a bad thing, because it's just companies trying to make amazing things happen.
Sure.
And the crowdfund adds like a little bit less risk in doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not like really putting 100% development effort into it. It's partial, and you get to a point and you pause, right? And you let this process take place. So that's okay. So let's circle back. Remind me of the question again.
Is this the first, or is WWE the first Mattel line to do a crowdfund?
So it's the first modern era action figure line to do it. We did do Castle Grayskull for Matty Collector back in the day.
That's right.
Which was not a true crowdfund. It wasn't called a crowdfund, but it kind of was. But it was more like that kind of open pre-order crowdfund type thing. You still had to hit X amount of units to go forward, but there was like a meter. And I don't think they said the units, if memory serves me correctly. It was just like a meter bar, or maybe it was like a castle tower or something.
Sure.
And it's like, if you hit that, the top of the castle, and I think there might have been an unlockable too. But if you hit the top of the castle by, the end date, then the castle is unlocked. So look, that was one of the first, and there were subscription models for action figures. Then all that kind of went away for a little bit. And I think we tried a Cars one, which didn't move forward. And then we jumped in with New Gen, and we were the first action figure based crowdfund of modern times. Gotcha. And then, Motu came around with Eternia, which is, super awesome. And that one funded as well.
Gotcha. I didn't know about the Motu one. I'm so like in and out of that line. Like, I'm intrigued, and then I'm like, there's too much. I'm out. I get scared. I back out of it, and it's just, I get overwhelmed. And but I forgot about that one.
Classics was maybe one of the greatest toy lines of all time.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the how deep they were able to go into the line, and the aesthetics of the figures, the Four Horsemen sculpts.
Yep.
Yeah, right. It's one of my favorite lines. I mean, this snake, where am I pointing here? The Snake Mountain here, is the classic Snake Mountain.
Random question: if you had to choose between Masters of the Universe and WWE, what would you pick?
Oh, I mean WWE. It's
as far
WWE,
as the collector goes, not necessarily working for her. But
WWE, everything.
Okay.
It's the pop culture love of my life. I don't know when you went to school, I went to Catholic school, and they were like, everyone has a calling, right? So like, if my calling wasn't to be involved in wrestling in some way, then callings don't exist. Like, I just feel like this was meant to be. I don't know if it'll be forever, but like, I was meant to have some time involved in this business somehow. That's for sure.
Gotcha. All right, let's do some questions from our comments, and then we'll circle back if me and DJ have anything left. One thing I was going to address, and our buddy over at the call up, can you see the comments, Steve?
I did flip over to them. Yes.
Okay. I'm going to pull this one up here from right from the beginning, but our buddy Kenny over at the call up, we've seen some rumors swirling that Bad Bunny is going to get an elite. He says, I need my Bad Bunny elite. Anything you can tell us about Bad Bunny getting a figure, even a basic? Or
I can say there's nothing officially happening yet, but we want it to happen. And if the stars align, we're going to do it. So yeah, I saw the leaks as well. And sometimes things go on paper, but I remember Coco Beware being in a lineup back in the day before I worked at Mattel, and I told Bill, and he was like, "Yeah, we didn't even have Coco. It was just like a hypothetical thing." So yeah, Bad Bunny, we want to do it. It makes all the sense in the world to do it and make a big deal out of it. And hopefully, when it does happen, it's not revealed to everyone via a leaked list.
Yeah, that must drive you guys nuts. Like,
it's okay.
Shake
it's
your
part
head.
Of the game.
Yeah,
it's part of the game. The amount of people too who pay attention to the leaks is very small in the whole big scheme of things, right?
Gotcha.
Because it's like when you see actual reveals happen of things that were leaked, it's like you see all the comments and nobody knew. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like such a small fraction, 1% knew that that it leaked. So it's okay. It sucks in the moment, especially if you keep things close to the vest for a long time. You know what? Suck gobbledygooker leaking early. That pre-sale one, we kept that a secret. Like, there were were no leaks, right? We kept that a secret. We had the costume, we had the diorama, and like we wanted those doors to open at the superstore and everyone come in and be like, holy smokes, the gobbledygooker is here and there's a figure. But it's okay because it's sold out like super quick, or the initial pre-sale allotment sold out
sure
super
it did,
quick.
yeah.
There are more coming. It's not done.
All right.
So it was just the initial, there's called what's it called, launch quantity. It's called launch quantity. That initial amount is what they were able to secure for that promise date that they have for the pre-sale. So they can't do 2 promise dates on Amazon. So anything that comes after that will have to be a separate sale or pre-sale.
Oh, it's good to know. Little inside baseball.
That is good to know. Yep.
Speaking of inside baseball, and I don't know if you can answer this or not, who gets the checks for Gobbledygooker? Is it Hector Guerrero? Because wasn't he originally dressed as him, or is it just WWE gets the royalties?
The version we're doing here is kind of like we did tweak the sculpt a little bit. So this is WWE owned Gobbledygooker.
Gotcha.
Or else we'd be splitting it like 12 different ways, including my team who wore the suit during the Superstore event.
True. And Chelsea Green and Johnny Gargano, they'll all be getting a cut.
No.
13 Chance W says fan takeover results for Ray and Seth yet. Is it too early for those?
That's a good question.
That's not announced yet.
Okay.
I'm telling myself, right? I don't know. We'll probably announce it at Comic-Con, I would guess.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
We'll get some visuals, right? So we're not just announcing it.
Sure.
Hopefully by then we have, at least for Ray, like the sculpt and deco work done. Yeah, we can maybe show that during the panel. Fingers crossed.
All right. This guy just says you and Bill have very thick skin. I agree.
I agree too.
Rachel Robinson, I believe actually this is our buddy Chad Miller, says, who will be the next chase in the Ultimate Edition line? Are you able to give us any info on that?
It will be in one of the retailer exclusive lines.
Okay. All right. So Target,
a little
Walmart.
Tease.
Yeah.
Or I mean,
or
any of
Amazon, right?
Or Ringside, or
Oh, Ringside, right?
Any of the above. Anything except mainline. It could be one of those.
I think I know the answer to this, but I'm just going to ask it anyway. What are the chances of getting a Ready to Rumble Jimmy King Elite or Ultimate Edition figure to go with the WCW Nitro stage? Kind of, sort of.
Yeah, baby.
I mean, my gut reaction would be low, but I'm not going to say low because we'll make anything happen if the opportunity presents itself, right?
Sure.
I wouldn't do Jimmy King on his own, but 2-pack with Dallas or David Arquette or something could be cool. So yeah, if things work out, we'll find a way to make it happen.
Gotcha. This is a good question actually about the Nitro ring. Do you think that timing played a factor? It dropped just before Mania week, followed by Easter, plus people just being concerned financially.
So
go ahead.
Economy wise, maybe, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else, no, because there's always something, right? Comic-Con. Right. Well, that was a terrible time to do the new gen crowdfund. Do it at WrestleMania. We do it at WrestleMania. Why'd you do it at WrestleMania? Right. So it's like, and it's some of the same people saying it. Right. So there's always going to be a reason. It's never convenient to drop tons of cash. Right. Especially, if money's tight for whatever reason, because the world is the way it is. So I feel like, yes, worldwide and national economy could be playing a factor in things, but I mean, otherwise rent is always due, right?
Sure.
Bills are always due. Yes. Student loans will come back probably. I don't know. So yeah, I don't really believe that 100%. Does it affect a few people? Yes, absolutely, right? But is it affecting it great enough to make it not work? I don't think so.
No, we had the same conversation earlier today in our group chat where it's like, okay, so you bump it away from WrestleMania, then you, like you said, you're getting into Comic-Con, then it's Christmas time, then it's, I got to recover from Christmas, and then we're right back to where we were. It's like they're really...
And I don't know Hasbro's, pipeline of crowdfunds, but you have to believe they're coming up. So we miraculously beat them in timing wise, right? To do this and have a clear path of no other major, toy company crowdfunds at this time, right? We were, I think, doing it at the same time as Galactus. There might have been some overlap there.
I think
for new generation. So it's like that's tough, right? So it's like we did hit this nice little sweet spot here of nothing else happening at the moment. So look, like I said, there's always going to be something, and it's just the armchair quarterbacking after the fact. Well, you'd be at 11,000 already if my personal needs were met, right? So you can't do that for everybody. You just have to do broad things, which is kind of why the figures turned out the way they were from a lineup perspective. You have to do broad things and make broad choices so that you cast the widest net possible for these things, because you can't cater to everyone's individual needs, unfortunately.
Yep. This is another good one here. Since you broke the news last night on the Monday Night Wars Ultimate Edition Series 2 being Eddie from Halloween Havoc on the WWE side, are you able to tell us tonight what it'll be for the WWE side?
No. But I will do something.
I was hoping we were going to get some kind of reveal here, man.
I will do something special for you guys.
Let's do it
when we're done with you want to do it now?
Whenever you're ready.
Let's just do it now, right? It's unofficial, right? Like this would be something that once we get some feedback back, but we can start the conversation now. Okay. If we have the ability to change up packaging for the Ultimate figures, what do you guys want to see? Do you want to see the traditional Ultimate Edition packaging with the inverted colors that we do for exclusives like we did for New Gen? Do you want to see that for any of the figures that get unlocked and are included? Or do you want to, and this is for the crowdfund.
Yep.
Or do you want to see something like Coliseum Collection, but graphically tied to the old Toy Biz line, or maybe San Francisco Toy Makers? Or as a third option, would you possibly want to see both, to have your own choice of what way you want to display these figures mint in package? Well, they wouldn't be mint, you'd open them, but who cares? They're Ultimate Editions, right? They're meant to be opened. So we have been exploring packaging options, obviously, even before the crowdfund started. And that's something we've been toying with. And we've kind of just gone with, let's do traditional Ultimate packaging. But I'm open. I'm open to suggestions, right? Is that exciting? Does that move the needle for you guys? Because that's a reasonable pivot to things. You know what I mean? That's a reasonable pivot to change up packaging a little bit. So yeah, we can start that combo here in the chat here. If you guys want to throw up, an unofficial poll on Instagram or Twitter, go for it. I'll probably do it as well at some point in the next, week or so. Okay. But that's some fun we can have and get you guys involved in some of the decision making on the item. And it doesn't break the bank for us, right? We do invest time, of course, but it's not going to blow our financials, right? So it's a really cool way, I think, to get you guys involved and make sure your voices are heard that much more in the item.
I love the idea of it being original San Francisco Toy Maker style. Yes. I like the idea of having the option, like option 3 there, where it's new school and old school. You have the option to do what you want. But option 2 really just got me super excited.
Hey, maybe if we give both options, you have to back 2 to have 2 separate figures and display them both ways.
That's awesome. We will definitely throw up a poll. So yeah, thanks for letting us run with that a little bit.
Yeah. And like I said, no promises, but let's explore together, right? Let's get that feedback and then see what can happen at the end of the day. Obviously, licensor has to approve and everything like that. But I mean, they're great partners, and if we say, hey, the fans want this, I'm sure they'd be on board.
Yep. One thing I was going to bring up that had nothing to do with the Nitro stage, I just saw it in the comments here. We'll definitely circle back to Nitro. I just don't want to forget about this. The cancellation. It seemed like yesterday was cancellation day for Walmart. With all the pre-orders. You guys don't have a whole lot as far as what goes into that or what causes that. I'm sure you've had conversations with them. Is there anything you can tell us as far as what is going on with it seems like Target was doing it in the beginning, and then they kind of got everything figured out, or the stuff would show up in stores, everybody would find it, and then they could cancel their pre-orders. Where Walmart, it's like, okay, our pre-orders got canceled, but we're also not seeing these in stores too much.
Yeah, you obviously have to be careful, right? How I phrase this, because I don't want to, and there's no intention of anything negative on my part to anybody. My team works super hard to make these figures. It is a nights and weekend type of a job where you work during the day, you have meetings, you're brainstorming, and then at night you're working, right? And the weekends you're catching up, and our team is working with partners in Asia, so it's nighttime. So everyone works really hard to get this stuff to happen. So of course we want everyone possible who wants these to have a chance to get them, right? So my team is bummed whenever people have trouble getting action figures, of course. So with that said, once again, every time I see something that is at least halfway respectful, hey, sometimes I send along some of the expletive stuff too, right, to share the love with everybody else, so it's not just me getting it. But sending that stuff along, sending the feedback along, to just keep everyone aware, like, hey, this is happening, what can we do to improve it, what can we do to fix it? I think with the Walmart situation, I kind of know what happened, and I don't know how in depth I can go with it, because I know things are hopefully going to improve, and I'm hopeful that throughout the rest of this year, and into next year with Monday Night War Elites and Ultimates, that we're gonna be attempting to manage those in a different way than they had been the previous year or two. So I'm hoping you start to see an improvement at retail for all three of those lines, right? So this year, Superstars and Ruthless Aggression, and next year, Superstars and Monday Night War Ultimate and Elites. So fingers crossed it all works out. There is a plan in place to improve the retail aspect of things, and I know the team is working hard who handles this to try to address some of the .com cancellation issues so it doesn't happen again.
Sure. I'm just scrolling through the questions here to see if there was any others that caught my eye. Would the price have been cheaper if sorry, we're kind of all over the place with the questions, but would the price have been cheaper if it was just the stage without any figures?
No. It was more. Like when I got this approved, it was a lot more. A lot more. And everyone involved, the Mattel Creations team, the finance team, we got to cracking and just started to whittle down that price and get it to $400 to be as palatable as possible to everybody. So I mean, like I said, the figures are basically free, right? They're free. So and I see the comments, add everything. Well, then that if we only unlock 5,000, right, and you give everything, man, you're losing money hand over fist at that point. To give all the figures away with it at 5,000 units. To unlock them, you really do need to get to those next levels, because more units means more profitability, and then you give that right back in the form of an action figure, right? So if we removed all the figures and just offered the stage on its own, and we waited, then you're going to have 2024 rates, because rates go up every year. So it's probably going to be more than 400 without the figures if we were to do something like that. And it's not going to happen. We're not this is it. If we do it, we do it. If we don't, we don't. But yeah, if we decided to just do round 2, just the stage in 2024, it's going to be more money just because of the nature of how rates work every year.
Yeah. Wow. That makes sense. That really does make sense. We've got one question that keeps getting asked. Are you able to change skin tones and torsos for other household names like Eddie Guerrero, just like you did for Hulk Hogan?
I've asked. So the team's looking into it. Like I said, there's more than just me, and I'm not a designer, and I have to be respectful of everyone's opinion on the team, licensor, talent, etc. Right? We'll try. I've seen it. I see almost everything, and I bring it up when we can affect something. So I'm trying.
All right.
I have like have
Go
you
ahead.
guys have you guys been having fun figuring out how you're going to tool the new heavyweight championship?
So I mean that one we saw in real time with,
Oh, nice.
with all you guys. So there was no extra heads up. Sometimes they give us a heads up, but for this one it was a true surprise, which I'm always totally fine with. Yes, it's
Yeah.
nice to get to work early
Yeah.
on things, but you know it's nice to be a fan too and be surprised on TV like everybody else.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would think, and this is what I said yesterday, my preference would be to wait to see how that title picture unfolds over the next month or so and someone wins that title, and then we can get to work on it. I don't see the point of doing it. I mean, unless it comes with Triple H, right? We could do that, I guess. Triple H in a suit with the title probably would sell good because it's a new title. But I think we'll wait and see what happens, and then we'll get cracking on it. It's great to have a new, modern championship title in the mix that's seen on a weekly basis, right? Of course, we want to get to all the vintage titles as well, but having new modern titles is always a plus, and people get excited when they're on figures.
What do you think of it personally, like the look of the title?
I love the Winged Eagle. That's my favorite title. That aesthetic of a title will always be my favorite. Maybe it's just because I'm familiar and grew up with it. The Attitude Era title was nice as well, but it is just an offshoot of that Winged Eagle, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, titles that look like that are more my preference. I see what they're going for here, of course, right? And I get it.
Big
and
gold,
yeah, big gold, WWE branding front and center. Like it I see how they got here, right?
Yeah.
It's personally not for me. I'm a Winged Eagle guy forever.
Okay.
Same. But I will ask you this as a fan.
Yeah.
Who do you think wins it?
I hope it's not Cody. I hope it's not Cody. No. I mean, I want Cody.
Keep chasing.
Yeah, I want him to chase it a bit. I want him to beat Brock, and I want him to be triumphant over Roman a year from now at WrestleMania in Philly or something like that. I don't personally want to see him win this title. I just, as if I was writing things, it would just be, the story that I just told basically, because, I don't see the point of him winning this particular title, right?
Mm-hmm.
To me, this title can elevate somebody else. Cody doesn't need that elevation of a title, right? Cody should fulfill a storyline and a legacy, right? And that is by defeating Roman Reigns for both of those other championships. This title, to me, elevates somebody new, like a Gunther or something. Like putting that title on him elevates him to another level. He's already on the road there. So that's what I would do with this particular championship. Give it to somebody who will truly benefit from having a high profile brand new championship title.
I want Roman to win it.
Just to mess with everybody.
People mad.
Well, now I want him to win every title, including both women's championships.
All right, we will. Is there any questions that you've seen pop up that you want to address? I'm trying to keep up with them, but they're coming in pretty quick.
Coming in fast,
which is nice. We appreciate this, guys.
Do you keep an eye on the creations coming from the community, custom figures and dials? Of course. I follow a lot of custom accounts, and they're amazing, right? That if you can dedicate yourself to like focus and make one figure, and they do, and they go all out, like those things come out phenomenal. And I have a couple, and some people have been kind enough to send them to me. The dials are off the charts, amazing. So yes, very appreciative of that, and I love seeing all the photography and everything people do with all of our figures on social media. Like I was an action figure photographer, prior. I guess I still am, even though I don't have time to do it. But I love that stuff. It's the best.
Yeah, it's some of those. I wish I had the talent to do some of that.
Oh
stuff.
My gosh, yeah. I see some of the some of the head sculpts and stuff of talent that we just can't do, and I guess I have the inside scoop on like, okay, this one might not be possible for a long time, right? And I'm like, man, I wish I could paint, right? I wish I could paint these heads, and I wish I was confident in cracking torsos and whatnot. But these guys are the best at what they do, and there's a reason the stuff they make look so good.
Clout God Andy here will the Solo torso be updated? I believe he's referring to Solo Sikoa. I think his torso looked a little skinny at the reveals at Mania Week.
Yeah, I think Bill's trying to update it. I don't know if it will be possible or not, to be honest with you. If he can update it, I mean, Solo will have more figures, and we'll try to update it again later. But he is trying to do it with this one. That's for sure.
This one I was actually going to ask you. We got the news yesterday or the day before that Mattel and Hasbro are doing a little bit of a collaboration. Is there anything that you guys have heard so far that, you know, they're for the collection is using Marvel-based attires like Ray's Spider-Man attire? I know Johnny Gargano had a very Wolverine-like one. Is there anything you guys are hearing yet, or is it too early to tell about what you'll be able to do?
Yeah, it is early, and I'll answer this. I'll remove myself from as being an employee of Mattel and just talk about this as just knowing like legal things and reading the press release on this. It's a deal for owned brands, Hasbro owned brands and Mattel owned brands. And it's doing various collaborations like the Barbie Monopoly and Transformers Uno and some other things.
Gotcha.
So deals are very specific, right? Every deal is very specific. And from what I've seen so far that's been out there in the public without any knowledge on the inside is it's very specific to things like that I just mentioned. So having relationships, positive relationships and an open dialogue is always the best, right?
Right.
Then you never know what's going to happen down the road. So, you know, at this stage, I would just defer to anything that you're seeing publicly because that all just seems to make sense, and anything beyond that wouldn't really make any sense yet, right? And I would just hope, like, if this is successful, who knows what happens down the road and what else can be done.
Yeah, because along the same lines, so we had a question that caught my eye here from Damian Colazzo. So he was, you know, so now that we have UFC and WWE basically under the same umbrella, is Mattel going to start doing UFC figures?
I mean, I guess similar answer as before.
Mm-hmm.
Different deals, right? They're still treated as two different companies under the umbrella of, you know, Endeavor.
Right.
And I don't know, like, is there still a deal in place with Jazzwares? There might be, right? I don't know the length of their deal, if that's done or not.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
So I personally, you know, as a fan who works in toys, I wouldn't mind seeing, you know, UFC talent in the WWE Elite or Ultimate style, right? That'd be cool.
Like that.
But I don't know if it's feasible, and I don't know where the company stands on that. You know, if someone were to ask me tomorrow, like, hey, would you be down to explore this for the brand? I would be like, sure, let's take a crack at it. But I mean, that's just, you know, like I said, my personal preference.
This one I saw earlier. I wanted to ask it. Alex West Collects, who actually got to meet him at Mattel when we did the influencers panel. Great dude. When can we expect the first wave of Monday Night War Elites and Ultimates to drop? Any idea?
Yeah, so I hope the Elites can make it onto the WrestleMania palette or end cap or whatever it winds up being in 2024. I hope you see them there first. If not, you'll see them, I think, in the April-ish reset, maybe something like that. So, you know, these retailers do their quarterly resets. So I would expect timing-wise for it to be maybe April of next year, but hopefully earlier than that, whenever those WrestleMania displays hit.
Gotcha. Random question here from somebody just slid into my, I don't know why they didn't put it in the comments. They just slid into my DMs. They're
just so you can say that, just so you can say that.
Yeah. That was actually pretty slick.
They're actually lucky I saw it. Gigi Dolan, I guess Entertainment Earth sent out emails saying that the manufacturer discontinued production on her. Any update on that?
Well, I mean, I've seen things like that before. Everything gets discontinued after the initial run, right?
Okay.
Like, none of these things are just continuously being made unless it's like, you know, the role play championship titles or something, right?
Okay.
So every wave of figures is one and done unless we do a greatest hits or something. So I don't know the specifics of what happened with that account. But I mean, you know, we made her, she exists. Yeah, and maybe they wanted more. I don't really know, but you know, the figures out there. We made whatever the initial, you know, order allotment was for it, and then we move on to the next wave. So sorry if you know you weren't able to get it through. I think you said Entertainment Earth.
Yeah.
But you know, hopefully you can find it at retail or something in the coming months.
Yeah.
All right. We won't keep you too much longer. We know it's been a busy week
No,
for you.
All good. All good.
This is a good one here, though. Rob Matthews. Can we get some comments regarding the retro line? I feel like these figures don't get enough airtime. Do you anticipate Ringside doing more sets like the NWO?
I mean, right now we're doing 2 waves a year on Mattel Creations, and that team does do some great photography and stop motion for them. So I think from an asset perspective, they're pretty solid. I think I've seen feedback that people do want more than 2 drops a year. If I can convince people, I would love to do that. It is a small line, right? That's the hard thing. It's a very small line for a niche group of collectors, and it's not like it's successful, but it's not like Ultimate Edition successful to where like, oh my god, it's doing so well, I have to add more figures to it, or else the line will like self-implode on itself, right? Because so it's like sometimes there are choices that are made for you. Like we were ready for it, we knew it was coming, we had to add more figures to mainline Ultimate Edition, right? For retros, it's doing well enough to keep going with what we're doing, and it's not quite at the level for me to be able to wholeheartedly say, yeah, let's do 4 more waves a year. So that's the struggle, right? It doesn't mean I'm not going to try, but yeah, I do want to try to do more if I can convince the right people. Ringside NWO tag team packs. Tag team retros are meant to live at Ringside. So the hope is that this set is successful for them, and I think it is based on early reads. And then we can continue that next year with another set of tag teams.
Do you know when those are going to ship, the NWO, by any chance?
I thought they would have shipped by now, but things, it is what it is, right? Things are made
2023
in Asia, right? So I'm guessing soon. If you pop over to the site, I don't know if their initial pre-sale sold out or not yet, but they probably have like an estimated ship window for them.
All right. Anything else you want to throw out there as far as the Nitro ring? Was there any questions you saw in the comments that you want to address?
I mean, I'll do. We can even go back to questions, but I'll just do my last ditch pitch for the Nitro stage. Like I said earlier, like these opportunities are, it seems like there's a lot of crowd funds right now, and there are, but like, in this age of collecting, like we're gonna get priced out of this stuff, pretty soon, right? Like, we're this kind of is on the verge, right? It seems like this with people, $400 for something like this. We're on the verge of getting completely priced out of being able to do these things at the scale that people like to collect at. So, if this is something that you want to see, now's the chance. Now's our window of time to make it happen. I don't know how many years we'll have to be able to realistically do things like this and allow people to afford them, but we're in it now, right? And I hope that people take advantage of it while it happens. If they want a stage or stages, please, back it. The figures, I hear what people are saying, but the figures really are secondary, and consider them bonuses. And hell, if we sell, and I always say this, but I'm going to break my own rule again. I always don't want to talk about secondary market prices, but if we sell only 5,000 of these, then you suddenly have the second and third most rare Ultimate Edition figures behind black carded Sergeant Slaughter, right? So it's like, there's value there as well with that. So, and if you can't afford it or don't want it, then don't buy it. It's okay. You know what I mean? Nobody's trying to twist your arm and force you to buy something that you don't want, in the hopes of something later down the road, right? If you can afford it and you do want it, then please jump in early so we can keep momentum going. The number is upticking again. Thank goodness. There's a little dry spell there for a little while, but it's on the move again. So, let's keep that going, because the more people that want it who back now, it will give people more confidence to jump in on the item. And then maybe we can get to DDP. Maybe we can get to Warrior, right? So, if you want it, jump in as early as possible, as early as your budget allows you to. And let's hold hands and get to the finish line together. And then fingers crossed we can keep this going for another few crowd funds before things are just so expensive that okay, it's figures only, no more gigantic play sets.
Yeah, let's do a Lex Express crowd fund Give me the bus.
Right.
It's great, man. The stage, like I said, you guys, I've said it before on our pod. I said it in our vlogs from being out in LA and seeing it at the Superstore. This in person, this thing is a work of art. You're not gonna get this in the mail and be like, crap, why did I buy this? You're not gonna have buyer's remorse. We didn't even talk about the lights. Like that's another bonus. Like the light shows are awesome on this thing. Like it really is an amazing piece of work. You guys did such a great job on it. I can't wait to get it. You want to do a couple more questions here, or what's your?
Yeah. I see one from Lewis. He asked it at 724. Hasbro recently tried all cardboard packaging, but has since announced going back to plastic. Does Mattel plan to change WWE figure packaging to all cardboard one day as well? I mean, one day, I don't know. I don't know what, way down the road hold, but immediate plans, no. Like Hasbro has already gone back to Windows.
Right.
They've already announced they're going back to Windows. So we never had plans to go completely windowless, specifically on collector stuff and anything even towards collector. I mean, some of the kids stuff already was open package, try me package, right? Jurassic has that as well. So it's already, and it should be, right? You want to try those figures, bend and mat, pull the arms and stuff. But I think for collector stuff, like it is very important. So we want to retain as much as we can. And we know something unique to WWE is the signing element of things, right? So it's like there's things that are intrinsic to collecting this particular brand. And a lot of people just buy extra figures just to have them signed. So, I know for Cody, like we went with no window, but it's open, right? But we made space intentionally dedicated. If you wanted that signed by Cody at some point, there's some prime real estate. Either you pull the entrance ramp down, he can sign the ramp, and there's space in the front, of course. So we're very conscientious of all those things to make sure that everything that we love about collecting is still intact.
There you go, Dano. Same with me. Like I like to see what I'm gonna put on my shelf. So I agree with Dan on that.
But will smart decisions be made? Yes. Right?
Yeah.
If you can reduce plastic in some way, yes, please, let's do it. Right. I open practically everything. Like this stuff is sealed because it's work. I worked on it, right? I'm like, I want it in box too, right?
Yeah,
but everything else, like all my Marvel stuff, all my McFarlane DC stuff, and everything else I collect, like I open all that, right? But I do still want to see it, right? I want to see it before I buy it, and I might be enticed to buy another if there's a window, right? So I know that collectors are crazy like me, right? And other people might buy too if there's a window. So like I said, anything we can do to keep the spirit alive of what we all want from this hobby, I'm gonna push for it.
Any idea when the Piper and George the Animal Steel Coliseum collections will go up on Mattel Creations?
I would imagine sometime in this fall. I think Hogan and Funk went up in November. I want to say maybe
that
October, November.
Right.
So I would expect like in that window of time somewhere as well for Piper and George.
We didn't oh, sorry, go ahead.
And we'll announce the next one that's after that at Comic-Con most likely.
Okay. We didn't get to hold a lot of time to talk about the Coliseum collection. That's okay, but that line, I am in love with that line. It is amazing.
Yes, same here.
You guys are killing it. I do want to know, I don't know who I need to talk to, if it's you or one of the packaging guys that we met, but how do we get me and DJ on the package as fans?
Oh, that's easy. That's easy. I'll see if they can send you an art release.
All right, let's do it. I'm in 100%.
I'm in.
I got one last fun question for you, but I'll give you one last chance to go through the questions that were asked through the comments. If there's one you want to address, one that maybe caught your eye. Otherwise, I just got one fun question to wrap things up here. I know you're a busy man. You're still technically at work, so I'm sure you want to get home and.
This is my house.
Oh, I thought that was your office for some reason.
So it was my home office.
I was about to say, kind of the same. Both.
Yeah. Well, when I have meetings, everyone's like, "Are you at the office right now?" I'm like, "No, this is. I'm legit. I collect this stuff." Okay. So yeah, this is my tour room at the house, but I mean, it was my office during the pandemic, of course. Let's see here. Like, is there something good? I'm scrolling way back. Yeah, I don't know. Did you guys see anything here that was outstanding? Because obviously when we head into these things, people are, vocal and asking things ahead of time. Like I know Walmart was one of them.
Yeah.
Retros I did see. International pricing, of course. Like,
Yep.
was there anything like that we maybe missed?
I don't think so, to be honest with you.
That's where we can get MCM to buy 50 stages so that he can get the Montreal screw job HBK. Then.
Right.
Somebody's saying they want a Thunderlips Hogan.
Oh yeah, of course. We tried to get him into the Hollywood line, but
that's right.
There's another one. Like everyone that people was requesting for the Hollywood line, we made the attempt. We made the hard attempt to get those to happen, and sometimes it's just not the right time. For whatever reason, things don't work out.
Yep.
It doesn't mean it's off the table though, right? We did Zeus outside of the Hollywood line. He had an Ultimate Edition, and then he was in SummerSlam. So you can do that. And let's talk about Hollywood some more, because I think I mentioned this during an interview at the Superstore, perhaps. But I still see the question being asked. Some of those lost Hollywood figures, not all of them, but some of them will be released as greatest hits figures.
Nice.
In the Elite Greatest Hits line. So Scorpion King Rock for sure. We're moving forward with. So we're going to get the lower produced or non-produced or underproduced. They were all produced. So the underproduced figures into greatest hits if we can. So maybe that'll happen over the course of 2 years or so, but there at least is a path forward for those.
All right. This one did catch my eye, and I had this on my notes as well. Any other single Mattel creations like Cody or Logan Paul down the pipeline or in the works?
Maybe. So those slots were set aside, right? So a little inside baseball again. When you plan your year, you have X amount of SKUs you can make. You plan it and say, hey, with X amount of SKUs, we theoretically can make X amount of money. That's your business plan. Really loosey goosey, right? But that's kind of, when you break it down, that's what it is. What can we promise, as our volume for the year based on X amount of SKUs, right? So you kind of figure things out that way. So we pulled 2 out last year to set aside for a special occasion for what if something happens, what if we want to, jump on something and it'll be an open pre-order. So we do have 1 or 2 SKUs set aside for something like that. For an emergency, oh my gosh, Max Moon is back, and
baby,
he won that new, World Heavyweight Championship, and there you have it, right? So, yes, we have them reserved. We haven't pulled the trigger on them yet, right? Not that cool things aren't happening, but nothing to the level that we couldn't just insert it somewhere else in the line, right?
Sure.
With Cody, it's it was such an epic return, and the entrance and the crowd and everything. So that was a moment you wanted to recreate. For Logan Paul, obviously huge crossover star. There was a little more to do there, and he was very willing to work with us on it. Right, that's another thing. Does the talent want this as well, right? And Logan, he came and filmed with us, and he was excited. So we're waiting for the right moment, the right opportunity, the right, talent, availability and willingness, the whole 9 yards. So if that happens, we'll pull the trigger. And if not, we'll use those SKUs elsewhere, right? You don't have to do it, but we have it reserved for a special occasion, basically.
Max Moon sounds great to me, man.
Right? Fingers crossed he comes back. Conan gave a hell of a speech. Hall of Fame.
Yes,
oh my God. It was,
and apparently had some conversations with Triple H afterwards. So who knows what could be happening.
He goes right into the Monday Night War line if I had
that's
my
true.
way, right?
Yep, very true.
Not to mention, his lucha looks that he did sport in his early days of WCW.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, absolutely. Or KSI in a Prime bottle, we could do that one.
Right.
All right, so we're at about an hour here, so we'll let you get going here. But before we do, I just want to ask you random fun question that has nothing to do with wrestling, nothing to do with action figures. Just to have some fun to kind of wrap things up here. What are you streaming right now? What is your I know you don't have a lot of it, but your downtime, what are you going on to for Netflix or Peacock or any of the streaming services? What's your binge series right now?
I just finished Mandalorian, the latest
Okay.
season.
Yep.
And I did that in like over the course of a weekend. So that was, I liked it. You know, there was a lot of negative chatter about it, I want to say, but you know, I think it helps also to watch it all at once, right?
Yeah.
Because if you don't like an episode, you're left with a bad taste in your mouth for a week, and then you move on to the next, and it's like, you know, they're hopefully going somewhere with, you know, all these, like, you know, long-term storylines and whatnot. And same thing with wrestling, right? You know, yes, the outcome that you wanted to happen didn't happen, but like, what happens a year from now or 6 months from now? So anyway, same thing with Mandalorian, but fortunately I just waited and watched it practically all at once, so that didn't impact me. There was, yeah, of course there were some episodes that were better than others, but I was happy when it was all wrapped up with the final episode. And it was fun to see all the TikToks that immediately emerged of Grogu walking, feverishly walking in one of the final scenes. So yeah, that was pretty cool. I'm a big Star Wars fan.
I'm so far behind on Mandalorian. My kid is like nonsense every Wednesday.
I'm glad I didn't spoil anything.
No, that's all right. Yeah, it's
Grogu
all right.
walks and it's funny. So
yeah,
that's my
I've seen the TikToks. So one question, somebody asked, have you watched The Last of Us?
Yes, amazing. I love it. Like some of those episodes, it's like you're just like your mouth is dropped open, you know, as the show is wrapping up. So yeah, I love it. The Last of Us. Can't wait for season 2. I'm watching Succession also. I think I'm maybe 1 or 2 episodes behind.
I've heard that's phenomenal.
But I saw, like, you know, the big episode. I won't say what it is in case anyone hasn't seen it yet. But you know, like the holy crap episode from this season. And man, it was emotional. So that show is excellent. And if you love WWE and you want to imagine what it's like behind the scenes, like watch, you know, Succession. And, you know, look, there's fantasy there too, and people like to fantasize about what's really happening with WWE. So this is a good way to get your fix, is to watch Succession.
Yeah, that and Heels, I think, will give you good insight.
Yeah, I haven't seen Heels yet, but you know, definitely it's on Stars, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's unfortunately why I haven't seen Heels.
Sorry, but yeah, it's anybody that, if you happen to catch it, it will give you some insight, just like you're saying with Succession.
Nick Storm's trying to keep you here a little bit longer. What's your favorite Succession characters?
Oh, the dad. Like, I mean, you know, he's a son of a bitch, obviously, right? but like, you know, what a strong presence, and you know, how things pan out, very emotional, right? For someone who's a scumbag, right? And then, you know, you see what's going on, and it was an emotional episode, without saying too much. So yeah, the dad, and I'm terrible with names, which is why I'm saying the dad. I'm terrible with names across the board. But yeah, he's awesome. And the Culkin kid, he's super entertaining on the show. Like he does a knockout job of being such a weirdo son.
Nice. I have not seen Succession yet. I've not seen
Great.
Last of Us yet either. I'm way behind. Trying to finish up this last season of Ted Lasso. So, and I don't want that to end. It's so good. It's so good. But
it is wonderful.
I started watching that show on Apple TV with Harrison Ford as a psychiatrist. It was okay.
My wife just started watching that. She liked it.
Yeah. I just kind of got a little busy. So
yeah. No, I can't imagine why.
Just a little.
But I tried to go to Mattel Creations, not to alarm you, Steve, and it's down. I tried to, it's the website's down. It says we're currently making some site updates and be back running up later in the day. Thank you for your patience.
It was down earlier today, but I checked before I left the office, and I thought it was up again.
It was earlier when we started, because I had the number up of how many, what we needed to, where we were at backer wise.
It's down again.
Damn it, Mattel Creations! We're trying to sell some rings and some stages here. Come on, man!
So I know they do have. I think what day is it?
Thursday.
Wednesday. Okay. I know they have a sale coming up, and sometimes they reset things right before sales. So hopefully that's just what's happening now. But usually these downtimes aren't too long. But
gotcha.
Yeah.
So you guys heard that? There's going to be a sale maybe on Mattel Creations. So grab some Elites, grab some Ultimates. and back to Nitro Stage while you're there.
Oh, or maybe just Maleficent. I think she's what's going on sale.
Oh, all right. I thought it was like a site-wide thing.
It's not the WWE show. Remember that.
All right. But yeah, guys, make sure you get on there. Mattel Creations, back the ring. Yes, I have to back it. I've been slacking. Mike Lanham's telling me to back it right now, live on the air.
You're the reason.
I was gonna back it live on the air, but the website's down, man. But yeah, I'm like I said, after seeing it in person in Mania, man, I'm definitely gonna back it. It looks so good in person. I cannot stress that enough. And again, the fact that it fits on a bookshelf or wherever you need it to fit is huge. But Steve, we appreciate everything that you do for the community. Having that thick skin and just being able to listen to the fans, man. I think we're very lucky to have. I don't know much about the G.I. Joe line for Hasbro or even like Marvel Legends as far as
Emily and Ryan are great. Yeah, by the way.
I was just gonna say, it seems like you're out there. You're putting yourself out there all the time. You're in the forums. I'm just saying I don't know what they do. I know what you do, and as a wrestling collector, a wrestling figure collector, I appreciate everything you do, man. It's great. We're lucky to have you.
I will say this. I think I'm more tired than they are. I mean, Ryan has a kid, so he is that kind of tired, but I have a different kind of tired.
Right.
So maybe we'll put it that way, but they're amazing. But thank you for noticing that. We're in an amazing era of collecting everything right now, right? We're wrapping up, of course. I don't want to be too long-winded, but if you think back to the Matty Collector days, we hit a peak, right? With Masters of the Universe Classics, DC Universe Classics, Marvel Legends was starting to rebuild, right? And then there was kind of just collecting, it was a thing, but it hadn't exploded. And now here we are, it exploded. You have people like myself, you have Brian at Super 7, you have, NECA and Blaine, Randy and Blaine at NECA, you have Emily and Ryan Ting at Hasbro. You have all these people who really do care about the fans, really do. And we're navigating, big companies, right, who you have to do things in a responsible way from a business perspective, but we all have the right intentions, and we're all trying to give you the best we possibly can and what you want. So, I don't know when this bubble will eventually burst at the level that we're at now, but please enjoy the ride while we're at it, and don't get too hung up on some of the negatives, and know that we definitely are listening. You see it, you see the changes, and you see they updated the torso, right? So it's you see this stuff happening. So I'm out there, those guys are out there, and we're all trying to do our best for you. Truly, it is personal to us. We're not just faceless, soulless suits. I know my nickname is Corporate Steve, and I was super offended when I got that nickname because I'm anything but now it's a badge of honor, right? We're doing it for you guys. We really are. Truly, yes, of course we do it for ourselves, and I get, creative fulfillment out of it, but it's I'm not out there on the forums reading negative things and interacting for my health. You know what I mean? It's because I love you guys, and I love this community, and it means a lot to me. And I think I can speak for all of us who do this. Those names that I mentioned and more, those are key names who really do it with a lot of love. So enjoy this time we're in right now.
Absolutely. Steve, thanks again so much. You guys know where to find him. It's Action Figure Attack on Instagram, and on Twitter it's a little bit different, right? It's Action Fig Attack. All right. And you can follow the rest of the squad, Bill McKenna, Rob, all those guys on there. And let's get this thing backed. If you guys are just jumping on the Run In podcast for the first time, we drop a new episode every single Friday. You can check out more info over at runinpod.com. My name is Tommy Paradise.
Hey, it's your boy DJ. Thank you for watching us here. I'm loving the interaction, and Steve answering random questions from folks. This was a great night here.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. We'll do it again soon, hopefully.
Anytime, guys. I'll be here for you anytime.
Sounds good.